The good news, it's August 15th. It's summer. The bad news, it's August 15th, and we're closer to the end of the year and winter. Hey, whatever. Let's enjoy the last couple of weeks. How about we do that? Boomer and Gio, they're off. They don't work anymore these days, apparently. Maybe next week. I don't know. But I can tell you this. They'll be back after Labor Day and maybe before that, too. So
well, Gio's back, right? Gio's back the end of this week?
Well, as of now. He said walking out the door Friday, I kind of felt bad taking the whole week off, but you never know. So be ready. I would say that. So his name is Sal. I'm Jerry. Al and CeeLo are out. A little feisty this morning, and rightly so, and that was kind of cool. I'm a little concerned, though, as we start today, because you walked in with a hideous attitude. That's at 5:30.
Oh.
Where I said, first of all, you were stunned that Pat Boyle looks like a character out of a 1985 movie. Yes.
Yeah.
As he bleached his hair, which is fine. He looks good.
With him?
And then you walked in and said, hey, how we doing? You're like, huh.
All right, so you want the truth of it before we get into the Yankees and the Mets?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Do I?
You do. So I went away for the weekend with my wife, and it was actually finally we had like a nice vacation. Went out east. I had some extra time off, whatever, go out east.
I mean, finally you had a nice vacation.
Because the other vacations that I took, it felt like more work. I don't know why that was. Once we had a nice weekend in Saratoga, but then like going to Sesame Place, pain in the neck, dealing with the kid. Dealing
with the kid.
Yeah, it was just always like, it just
it's
felt
called
like
being a parent.
Yeah, exactly, right. Being a parent. So thank you, Jared. Let's clean that up. Being a parent, it didn't feel like a real vacation.
Okay.
This time it did. 3 days out east, me, my wife, and our daughter, and it was great. Went to the beach, went to the pool, nice restaurant. It was just...
Your daughter's how old now?
15 months, I believe.
So she's not an alien anymore. Like, this is when it becomes fun.
Yeah, right.
Agreed.
She's starting to develop a personality a little bit, and there's bonding, because I don't see her all the time, because I'm working 2 jobs, so when we're away and there for 3 days, it works out nice. So here's the negative. 2 things. Number one, I do love it out east. However, there's an air of people out there. Of
arrogance?
Yeah, that bothers me. I don't like it. I love it out east. It bothers me.
I'm Boomer Esiason.
I mean, right out the gate at 6:02, Eddie.
So but like, I don't like anybody that feels like they're better than anybody else. And that is some of the stuff that you have to deal with out there. And then like we're driving back yesterday and we're driving through, take the GPS, so it takes you a different way sometimes. We're driving through, stuff that I didn't know exists.
Like what?
Like $30 million home.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, what? This is on Long Island? Like, I grew up here. I never knew this existed, period. Who the hell could afford this? And then I started thinking, and look, we went on a nice vacation. I'm not going to complain about it, but it is ridiculously expensive. You and I were talking about maybe, you're talking about going to Atlantic City this weekend. The rooms it's ridiculous for a room. So out east, you could imagine, it's crazy. It's like insane. And then I'm driving through and I'm thinking, what do these people do that they can afford $30 million homes in Montauk? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And then I start thinking of, just life in general.
And you depressed yourself.
Right, as I get closer and as I come closer and closer west to where we live, and then I have to wake up at 4 in the morning. It was just like I love the vacation, but the reality is, God, I start getting to a point where I think everybody should be making the same. We should all do whatever job we do. We should all be making the same money.
Let's relax.
What? You wouldn't sign for that?
Isn't that like way Russia used to be back in the day?
Oh, did they actually have that? I didn't think it was possible.
No, but I'm just saying you keep everybody down. Everybody gets the same amount.
No,
someone's going to get paid. Somewhere, somehow, someone's getting all the money.
Well, I was also thinking about the less fortunate people who don't get to experience that.
Boomer's not going to let you fill in anymore. That's socialism you're talking about.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, sorry.
You never heard the word?
No, I've heard the word. I didn't pay attention.
You
when
just
they
defined
it
it
in school. Yeah, all right.
You defined it.
I don't know. I just feel it was just a weird experience. But anyway, I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm
Jeff.
sure you are.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you got 2 reasons to be out. One reason to be happy, and one you shouldn't be, but you probably are. We'll start with the bad stuff, and that's the Yankees from last night. Now, there were 2 ways to watch this game, and we can get into this too at some point. You had the K-Rod way to watch it, which is what I actually did because I was interested in not Neil Simon, but Paul Simon, as Lepresti screwed that one up before.
He said Neil Simon?
Yeah. And good for Al. He's like, the playwright? But Paul Simon started it. Then they had Jeter on, which I actually enjoyed quite a bit. So I watched it that way. I know they had Gleyber Torres mic'd up on the real broadcast, which I went back and watched. Kind of like that, too. But the Yankees are a problem right now because I think the last time you and I did this, the Yankees were running away with, forget the division, because they're still running away with the division because no one can win other than the Orioles right now. But they were running away with the American League and all of baseball. And they have been all of a sudden, and maybe, if you're a Yankee fan, maybe you saw it coming, I guess, they have not been an average team. They have been lousy in the last 11 games. They've lost 9 of 11. How about this one? In the last 5 games, they've scored 3 runs or less in all 5 of them, and they've been shut out twice. You had 13 straight innings in Seattle where they didn't put a run on the board. Last night, they're 2 hit by Michael Wacha, who hadn't pitched I know he's been good at Fenway, but hadn't pitched in 2 months, and they look anemic. And I understand Giancarlo Stanton's been out. I gotcha. I know Rizzo missed time. He's back. I know LeMahieu got hurt now. They're still capable enough of scoring runs. They stink right now.
Yeah, and it's been a while. Like you said, it's not just a few weeks. And I'm glad you brought up the last time we did this because I remember having that conversation with you. And deep down, I didn't remember we were talking about why are we comparing them to the 98 team?
Well, I did that.
Right, exactly. But that was the thought, right? A lot of people
Yeah.
were talking about 98. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense. What I'm watching doesn't feel like 98. But we're talking, is it just because we reminisce and it's greater back then?
Sure.
But maybe the reality is that this team is just not that good. And obviously they're not 98 Yankees good as we're finding out now. And look, they do have a problem because they're losing series left and right. This is something that even the worst Yankee teams don't do. The big difference here this year, I think, is the fact that they have a 10-game cushion in the American League East. If not, it'd be panic city around here in regards to the Yankees because of the way that they continue to lose. But nobody pays attention to it because they're running away with the division. Nobody can catch them. Unfortunately for Toronto, I mean, the time that the Yankees are struggling, so are the Blue Jays, then otherwise maybe you'd be looking at that as a 5-game lead, and there's a whole different conversation. But Giancarlo Stanton being hurt, yeah, it's a part of it. He's always hurt, though. There's always something with Stanton, and that's where they invested their money in. He's always hurt. They need him back. It's the same thing. This team is inconsistent. And as I said on Wednesday afternoon, the last time I was on the air, I filled in for Carden Roberts. I don't know what this Yankee team is. Are they the team that we saw in the first half that dominated baseball, or are they the team that struggled the last 7-8 weeks? I have no idea what to make
I think they're somewhere in the middle. I mean, and it's funny because last year a lot of people were talking in the beginning of the season about the Mets, and last year they had they were good. They weren't a great team. They were good, and then it fell apart on them, as we know. But I remember thinking and listening specifically to people like yourself, Boomer, Gio, like it felt like fool's gold with the Mets last year. And as it turned out, it was, and things fell apart. I never once, until this stretch began with the Yankees, felt like this was fool's gold. I thought, and I still think, when I look at the roster, is it perfectly constructed? No. But is it lose 9 out of 11, be very mediocre in the last month? No. They should be better than they are. Now, again, credit them for being so good for 3 months that they built what'd the lead get up to at one point? 13, 4, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, the lead is ridiculous. It still is ridiculous at 10, so you're not concerned in that way yet. But there's, I really thought that they were on a collision course with the Astros in the ALCS and no one would get in their way. Right now, I don't know if they're beating anybody in the postseason.
Well, I mean, how about this? We could compare it, and I know we'll get to the Mets in a little while, but did you ever think when we were doing those shows a while back, or even just go back a few weeks ago, whatever, that the Yankees would be surpassed by not only Astros, but by the Mets as far as record goes?
No, I thought the Mets would continue to play good, consistent baseball. They'd win the division. But did I think that they would be on August 15th now 35 games over 500? No.
And I thought that they were good and would get better with DeGrom coming back, whatever, but better than the Yankees? I mean, the Mets having it. Now they're 3 up in the loss column on the Yankees. That's hard to believe the way that the season started, where it didn't seem like anybody could catch the Yankees, and more importantly, forget about the Mets. But the Astros with a better record than the Yankees for now. That 1 seed where we know it's inevitable the Yankees are going to get I mean, shouldn't say it's inevitable anymore. We assume the Yankees are still going to get the 2 seed and get a bye, but now that's a whole nother problem where you look ahead to the postseason. But this team's got problems, Jerry. Yankees are not as good as we thought they were. They are not the team that they were to start this year. So maybe they're somewhere in between. But you know what? That's not good enough for a team that's supposed to get back to and win a World Series for the first time since 2009.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to learn a lot about them over the next 8-9 games because you got Tampa, Toronto, and the Mets.
Right.
Those are your next 9 games, essentially.
It's a great stretch. I was saying this last week because, obviously this weekend played into it, too, with the Yankees playing the Red Sox. Unfortunately, somehow they can't get healthy against the worst team in their division, a team that's under 500. Yankees still can't win a series, but you had the Mets and Phillies as well. And now this stretch, Mets and Atlanta, Yankees and the Rays, as you mentioned, Yankees and Yankees and Toronto, and then the Yankees and the Mets playing each other. Same with the Mets, all division games until they meet each other. So it's going to be a nice stretch here over the next 10 days.
Yeah, no, it's about as good as it gets because you got football kind of kicking into gear with the preseason. College football starts in a couple of weeks. And yes, baseball with 2 good teams. We'll get to we'll do the football coming up later. But yeah, so the Yankees are an absolute disaster right now. Real quick on the two different broadcasts. So I saw people complaining about the fact that Gleyber Torres is mic'd up.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I said this at the All-Star game. Who is the pitcher? Who is the pitcher that was striking guys out?
I know who it is. I forget. The Manoah, right? For
is that who
Toronto,
it was? Alek Manoah?
Yeah.
I thought, now I don't want it to be the primary broadcast, but I really do believe as we head into, continue with this technology, as things are getting better and better and more advanced, I just think it's a great alternate way to watch a game, more so to me than the goofiness of, I'm not into the Peyton. I know people love the Manning cast. I'm not so much into that. I'm not even into the K-Rod thing, although last night I did enjoy it just because of the Jeter stuff.
How long was Jeter on for?
He was on for, I would say, a half hour. I mean, first of all, they kept him through breaks. They didn't take breaks while he was there until the end. I forget which innings they were. The last inning break, they did go to break and came back for one final segment with him. But they kind of were rolling right through the game with Jeter, which I thought
I just can't
was
watch it. I'm sorry, I can't watch it. Maybe it's Michael K. I just can't watch. And I love Jeter. I can't get enough of it. I would have liked to have seen that, but not enough to overcome my disdain for the other two on that show.
I like both. I like the other two.
You like K and
I do.
A-Rod?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, good
I love
God.
A-Rod. I love A-Rod.
I don't mind A-Rod as much anymore, but I have no time for it.
I like Michael K. too, so we can differ on that.
Okay.
But anyway, so you had that broadcast, and then the other one where they mic up Gleyber Torres for the inning, I think was kind of cool, actually. I like that you have the two different ways to watch it. And the fact we were talking, I don't know, who was I with? Maybe Boomer. I don't remember who it was during the All-Star break. Maybe it was you.
No,
not
I don't
you.
think that we did shows together.
Someone.
Maybe I don't remember. No, I was on vacation that week.
And the question was, these guys wouldn't do it in a real game. It was the All-Star game. Well, you know what? And also, Mark Hanna did it on Sunday Night Baseball a few weeks. And I thought that was good, too. If you've got a guy that's got personality, you're getting a different insight into the game. And I thought with Torres, he's talking to them and he's prepping, and here comes the double play ball. He's, maybe double. I think it's great. I think it's a cool way to watch a game.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I don't think it's geared toward me. I think it's for the
younger guy. Absolutely.
Which I'm sure that they love it.
Yeah.
So me personally, I'd rather just watch the game. I don't need to hear the interviews with the manager in game. I don't need to hear from the players. Now, did I enjoy it a little bit with Torres and with Canna the other night? Sure, but I'm not watching, Padres and Brewers because I get to hear somebody mic'd up, Tatis or whoever is getting mic'd up.
He mic'd up anytime soon.
Exactly. Although I might like to hear what he has to say nowadays. Anyway, it doesn't interest me. I don't care. I know it sounds harsh. I don't care about their personalities. I care what they do on the field. I want to see them perform. So it's cool to get some insight. Oh, sure, this guy seems like fun. But if he's hitting, if Mark Canna was hitting $160 and not driving in any runs, I wouldn't give a crap. Like, get him out of here. It's more about, to me, their performance. That goes for anybody. It's not just the Mets or Yankees. To me, it's always been about performance. Yes, it's a cool, different element. It does really nothing to me. But it's not geared to me. It's for the younger. I'm sure your kids love it.
I don't listen. I've always said Matthew is more of he'll watch the Met games he loves Keith and Gary and Ron.
And Joseph's more of a player than
he doesn't
care.
Zero interest.
Interesting.
And Matthew he'll watch the Met games and everything else is YouTube highlights.
Yeah.
In terms of, I don't think he's sitting down. What'd you say, Brewers and Padres?
Yeah, whatever. Right.
Probably not watching that.
It is amazing the way kids watch stuff now these days.
Much different.
My nephew, a huge hockey. He's only 8. Huge hockey fan. YouTube.
YouTube.
Boom, 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 boom. Flying through highlights. And so I'm like, how'd you hear that? Who's this guy? Oh, YouTube. Boom, boom. And they pull it up. And then he references these YouTubers. I'm like, who the hell is that? I never heard of
it wasn't for me and the sports that I want to watch, like there are channels I have to have.
Mm-hmm.
With my kids, I don't need cable or nothing. As long as I got internet in the house and YouTube, we're good.
Oh,
it's fascinating. And I wouldn't even need a YouTube channel guide. What do you have? You have YouTube TV, right? I don't even need that. Like, no interest in watching television.
Just a free YouTube app or whatever.
Everything is YouTube for them, which is just weird. And it's almost like, do you want the TV on? No, I'm good.
What is the difference with YouTube TV and just like they have more stuff on it? I don't even know what
YouTube TV is like a cable channel.
That has what though? What kind of like
everything?
So
no, it's like a substitute for cable. So instead of having cable, you get YouTube TV. It's delivered through the internet, but it has overwhelming
So it's like
part of the same channels.
right. It's like Optimum or Verizon or whatever the cable company may be. Okay.
What don't they have? Because I know none of them have everything.
You could get like SNY and Yes and MSG or whatever.
Yeah, so YouTube TV has S and Y. They do not have Yes or MSG.
Right.
So we're out on that.
So,
I mean,
but
that's why I don't know what it is.
That's why I've tried these streaming services, and everyone seems to be missing something.
Right.
So every time I've tried it, I end up going back to the cable.
And now I've heard people coming trying to go back to cable anyway. All these people that were all about cutting the cord and going with the streaming services.
Because it's good, it's still not perfect.
Right, and it's getting expensive. It used to be to
Right.
save money because it is ridiculous the way you get hammered with these cable bills. But-
All of it's a lot of money.
and here's the bottom line. I don't care what I said the same thing with Sunday Ticket coming up with the NFL.
You're
although-
paying for it.
Yeah, well, although I may now start to think the way I want. I'm looking forward to getting into the football conversation with you. I may want to change the way that I watch the NFL this year. Because I want to go more Jets Giants focused, even though I know those teams have been crap for the last several years, and I don't expect it to change much moving forward.
Al and I officially dare you to focus on the Jets.
Especially after Friday night. God
Right.
knows what we got coming up with the
I
Jets.
know, but I may have to change. I don't know. It's just the way you take it in football. Because it's so much. The thought of
I know.
and that's the other thing we talk about being depressed a little bit. The thought of the summer ending now. This is it. And it's gonna be
this
fun.
is it. I
It's gonna be
agree.
a fun time of year. Don't get me wrong. The Mets and Yankees going to the postseason. Football starting up. But this is now until February. This is it.
Pretty much. And that there's no one that likes football more than I do. You know that.
Right.
There is something that I can't stand, though, about being in on a Sunday when it's 85 degrees and sunny and you're in front. I love the games. You know
Nothing
I
you can
do.
do though. You're trapped, and that's
noon to 8 p.m. watching TV.
It's
and
a
I'm out
problem.
on the Sunday night game. I can't. Unless I'm working it, I'm out.
That's what I mean. I got it. So I don't. I mean, I do have to watch the NFL and know what's going on, but I have to watch the Jets and Giants. So if I, in my mind,
Sorry.
because again, unfortunately, right?
Yes.
Because it becomes overwhelming. You're talking to somebody, Jared. Usually, I'll watch 5-6 games at once at 1 o'clock, and then by 4, it's like okay, depending on what the Jets and Giants schedule is, or whatever the big game, and then maybe the night game. But like, you're right. I'm wasting. Especially in the fall, September, October, there's nice things to do outside on Long Island. Go wherever, Jersey, whatever you're doing. Go spend the nice day. Go apple
pumpkin
picking.
picking
Yeah, right.
with the kid.
Yeah.
Hay rides.
Oh, maybe I should keep to our Sunday ticket. Yeah. Or you want to go with the neighbors and go, I met these
No.
new friends and go pumpkin
Nobody
picking?
wants to do that.
That's a good point. Yeah. No, maybe I
Ay,
should
ay,
keep
ay.
the Sunday ticket set up.
All right, let's take a break. It's 6:17, just getting started, as they say. We'll get CeeLo in here next. Boomer and Gio out, Sal and Jerry until 10 on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.